with other intersections.
Along the way.
Man, an enlightened.
What, they popped it onto their face and they put it up.
His own free will. Such unthinkable violence.
Didn't really address that much.
So one day,
and August comes to mind.
but we can hope.
Khuấy nắng vào nồi cơm đang.
Same semester I failed my college.
Have lost.
With his dingy vocabulary.
Beautiful when reflected in it.
Specialized classes.
He'd been involved with various older women.
But this
day, and he'd give my grandma
broken up.
Who grew in numbers by the day.
It's been 2 months.
Taste this time, she swears.
Broken or sound.
As the lawlessness of the...
I was 4 years old.
My grandson, who adores and
lived it until I was 12 years old.
Our training course the previous winter.
Sketching and making.
Melanie S. Hatter is the author of Malawi's Sisters, which was selected by Edwidge Danticat as the winner of the inaugural Kimberleo National Fiction Prize, and was published by Four Way Books in 2019. Her debut novel, The Color of My Soul, won the 2011 Washington Writers Publishing House Fiction Prize, and Let No One Weep for Me, Stories of Love and Loss, was released in 2015. Melanie began her career as a newspaper journalist, and has more than 20 years of experience in corporate and nonprofit communications and marketing. She works with N Street Village, the largest provider of services for women experiencing homelessness in Washington, D.C. In addition, she serves on the boards of the Washington Review of Books, the Washington Writers Publishing House, and Gamma Xi Phi Professional Arts Fraternity.
Hi, my name is Melanie Hatter, and I am performing with the 1001 Artivists. Here is an excerpt from what I hope to be a forthcoming novel. As she entered the nightclub with Trina, Pearl spotted him at the bar, laughing with a half-dozen Air Force officers, all wearing their blue service uniforms. She locked eyes with him, just long enough to know he was interested in her. Pearl was celebrating her 23rd birthday and felt like a queen as she sashayed through the place, enjoying his furtive glances. For more than an hour, she pretended not to notice him, watching while she and Trina sat chatting at a table. Then, sufficiently charged with rum and coke, she walked up to the bar, tapped him on the shoulder, and asked for a light, positioning her cigarette between her fingers with her hand up at the side of her face like a model in a magazine. Without a word, he pulled a silver lighter from his pocket and presented her with a flame. A hush fell over the group of airmen. She leaned close, inhaled slowly as the tip of the cigarette glowed red, and studied his features. He had milk chocolate-colored skin, a buzz cut, and a neat mustache the same length as his upper lip. The shadow of a beard was just beginning to show itself. Now, I know I ain't the only one in this joint with a light, he said, snapping the lid of the lighter closed. No, but you're the best-looking one of them all. His companions hollered, and he gave her a wide smile that both stunned and disarmed her, and she stared at him, forgetting what else she had planned to say. The guys returned to their conversation, but he shifted his position to focus on Pearl. He asked her name and introduced himself as Warren Clark. He was just back from South Vietnam, where he'd been stationed for the last year and was readjusting to American life at Andrews Air Force Base. Are you a pilot? Nah, I'm the guy who makes sure the aircraft is able to fly. He had a sleepy gaze, or what Trina liked to call bedroom eyes, and Pearl wanted to kiss him so bad. Just as she raised up on her toes, his friends announced it was time to go and began nudging and tugging at his sleeve as they headed toward the exit. What's your number? He asked. You got a pen? Just tell me. I'm good with numbers. He grinned. I'll remember yours. Warren leaned forward, and she anticipated a kiss, but instead he turned his head, positioning his ear before her lips. She recited her number, twice for good measure. He nodded, and as he turned to look at her, She pressed her lips against his. He responded with a delicious flick of his tongue. Then he was gone. For 5 days, Pearl waited for his call. He'd forgotten her number. She was sure of it. She scolded herself for not writing it down for him. Then on Friday night, just before she was about to sit down to eat with the family, the phone rang. He invited her out to dinner. She shimmied in the hallway after hanging up, then poked her head into the dining room and announced she was going out. Lacey snorted and cut a look at Pearl that would have sliced her open. What about Leisha? Ma asked, her mouth full of food. She didn't look at Pearl, but instead looked at Alicia, who sat in the chair next to her grandmother, on a cushion, holding a forkful of mac and cheese in her right hand and a fried chicken drumstick in the other. Her greasy lips glistened. Her brown and green eyes stared unblinking at Pearl, eyes that accused and judged, eyes that reminded Pearl every damn day of the worst moment of her life. The child brought flashes of Daniel and Matthew and the way Alicia frowned or focused when she was thinking. Pearl couldn't stand it anymore and turned away. You all aren't going nowhere, she shouted over her shoulder. She'll be fine. Warren picked her up in a friend's Dodge Challenger at the corner store, per her instructions. He scrambled out as soon as he saw her coming and opened the door for her. Well, ain't you a gentleman? Well, ain't you a lady? She laughed and took his hand as he put the car in drive. He sure did make her feel like a lady. They ate at a little Chinese restaurant in District Heights, where he told her about growing up in Florida, near Orlando, with 3 brothers. She talked about her family and even talked about Jesse, who she never talked about. Maybe Warren's smile or his quiet authority reminded her of her brother. He never came back from his second tour, she said, remembering her mother sitting on the couch, hugging the American flag the Army had presented to the family. I hope you never have to go to war ever again. After dinner, they stopped by a liquor store before heading to an apartment nearby. Good friend of mine is out of town for the weekend, he said, opening the apartment door. Said I could bring my lady here if I wanted to. She stepped into a carpeted living room and knew from Warren's expression he was asking if she wanted to spend the weekend with him here in this small, sparsely furnished apartment. Though they had just met, she felt certain he was a man she could love and who knew how to love her right, a gentleman who opened doors for her, lit her cigarettes, and helped her with her coat, a real man who made her feel like a real woman. When she smiled and nodded, he took her in his arms and kissed her so deeply. Pearl could feel it all the way down to her toes. Thank you.
We've gathered such an incredible community of strong, fierce, creative women whose voices and art can continue to change the world for the better. There's so much work to do. First, let's finish this job. Make sure your vote counts. Help us sustain and grow this beloved community by donating money, volunteering time, or by telling your friends about us. With your help, we'll be able to provide a wider platform for artists, produce higher quality videos, publicize our activism to bring voices to a wider audience, pay our interns, and hire an executive director. Please consider supporting us.
The story of our world every day. Listen and your heart may open up. If ever you feel frightened of our world that's washed away, a mother is a mother, come to us. Women.